Okay, first of all, hello everyone. Thanks for coming here. My name is Soroush Dalili, and I'm going to talk about file upload vulnerabilities today. Okay, first, some background about myself. I'm a web application security researcher officially since 2006. And so I'm doing web application penetration testing, black box or white box testing as daily basis task. And I also find vulnerabilities in my spare time. Some of the vulnerabilities that I found, like IS semicolon problem or IS short file scanner. And this is my blog address and my Twitter account and also email address. Okay, the topic of today is security of file uploaders. First, I will go for an introduction to form-based file upload to make you familiar with what I want to talk about. And then we will discuss file upload vulnerabilities and then some protections and bypass methods. Examples can contain 0 days. So it's like that. The vendors know about it, so they will patch it soon. Okay, if you look at osvdb.org website and search for example, file upload vulnerabilities, you will see that in 2012, the number of reported file upload vulnerabilities have been increased, which is not good, and now we should be more careful about that. What can hackers really do with file upload attack? If they can upload whatever they want, really they may be able to do whatever they want. Run command, remote code execution, placing backdoors inside your source codes, and, for example, exploit the applications that you have on the server, deface the website, or if they can't do anything, they can put some illegal softwares, I don't know, adult materials or illegal content on your website, and or doing some denial of service by filling your hard drive or your database. Okay, web-based file upload. Web-based file upload is actually a good method to upload the files on the server. It's an easy way to put the files on the server. You just need to use a web browser to do that. It increases business efficiency, obviously, because you don't need anything. You can share photos, videos, files, everything. And too many websites nowadays are using the same method. Facebook, Yahoo, Google, CMSs, and forums, for examples. Okay, client-side file upload methods. The most common method for clients for uploading the files is form-based file upload in HTML, which you can read the details in RFC 1867. It uses post method to send the request, and content type or encoding type is multi-part form data. Other methods that a client can upload files on the server are put HTTP method, using ActiveX, Java applets, customized method, but they are not really commonly in use. Okay, file upload simple HTML form is here. As you can see, we have a form tag, method is post, type is multi-part form data, so we want to upload a file. The input tag name is my file here, and the type is file, so that is that choose file button that I have in Google Chrome. And the submit button is a normal submit button, that upload thing. And as you can see, that test.txt, I've actually chosen that file myself. You can't use JavaScript to actually set that file because it's a security issue. If you can't really do that, it's a security issue in that browser. So user need to click on that choose file and choose the files. The other methods, for example, like using flash upload things, or using the same method, you just see a flash in front of yourself, but in background they're using multi-part form data. Okay, this is what you send to the server when you click on that upload button. So post request, obviously. The content is there, for example, file contents ... And the file name is test.txt, that I've chosen that myself. And the name of that input tag was my file. Content type multi-part form data. In multi-part form data, you need to have boundary. So you can actually say, I have this is the first part, this is the second part, this is the last part. You start the first part with dash dash and then that boundary name, and then you will end the message with dash dash, boundary name, and then again dash dash. So if you have more inputs, it will come between of these things, and then you have more dash dash boundary name. And that boundary name should be unique, and browsers are trying to choose something random and unique, which you don't have inside your file content, so it really doesn't detect it as another part. Well, file upload vulnerabilities. What are file upload vulnerabilities? File uploaders, in the first place, are simple web applications, so they can be vulnerable to all of the other vulnerabilities that you already know about: cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery, other OWASP top 10, and other vulnerabilities that are around web applications. But they have specific issues in themselves, which are actually really related to file uploaders and anything that dealing with files that I explain in the next slides. Okay, this is the first vulnerability, the most important one that is actually causing a lot of problem for all the websites. Improper or no access control, which means file uploaders needs to have access control on them. You shouldn't just go to that website without having any authentication and upload your file on that server. We have two groups here. Obviously, the group A is when only admin can upload whatever he wants. For example, in WordPress, you're admin, you can upload the content yourself, or you can give permissions to the trusted users to be able to upload the files. In here, in group A, authentication bypass is very important, because if you bypass it, you can upload whatever you want again on the server. Also, client-side attacks are becoming important, because then if you have cross-site scripting or cross-site request forgery, you may be able to upload a file on behalf of admin or any trusted user. Group B, okay, no authentication needed. So you don't need any authentication. You're a normal user, you're a member of that forum, you will upload your avatar, or you don't even need that. You go to YouTube, for example, you want to upload a file, just create a like anonymous user, you upload it, you upload some files somewhere, like, I don't know, sharing websites without having authentication. In here, in group B, all the options are on the table. I don't have animations in the slides, but it could be very funny there. I had some faces. It's a PDF. I can't do anything about that. Okay, a real example about access control issues. You know about all the vulnerabilities which have been reported in osvdb.org. All of them are, you can upload a file without being admin or without being a trusted user. So these are only vulnerabilities that you can actually exploit them without being logged in or just by having a simple user. And the main problem is because developers trust external modules or libraries. For example, someone who wrote a module for WordPress or Joomla just include that upload from W3 schools in a gallery, and then you can just go there without any authentication, call that file directly and upload whatever you want, which is obviously wrong. And for example, the important problem is we have some editors like FCKEditors, Uploadify, and these sort of things that can be, actually Uploadify is not an editor, but something for uploading. So these are some libraries. Developers think nothing can go wrong with them. It's an editor. A user can upload only like SWF file on the server. What can go wrong with that? It's actually wrong, because if someone uploads SWF file, can make the website vulnerable to cross-site scripting. You can read more about that in my blog. Okay, and yes, again, a bunch of images are harmless. It's wrong because they can contain some code. You can use local file inclusion later to include them and run your code, whatever you want. And the most important problem here is in-house applications normally don't have any validation. So if you go inside a company and you do penetration testing, you will find some applications that are doing file upload, but they don't have any protection because they think, we trusted everyone, and in here, everybody is trusted. What can they do? They should be logged in to see this menu. However, if you just open that file directly, you will see it, and you can upload whatever you want and pound the server. Okay, arbitrary or unrestricted file upload, which we have a OWASP topic in vulnerabilities section for that, okay, we have restricted file upload when you have validation on extension, on file name, a protection in place. The question is, can be bypassed? I will discuss them later in the bypass method, in bypass methods sections. Unrestricted, unprotected file upload is when you can upload whatever you want. There is no access control. Just upload your PHP file on the server. Piece of cake. You can just pawn a lot of servers by using that method today, but don't do that. Okay. Real example again. Arbitrary or unrestricted file upload. I went to exploit-db.com website. It's a public website if you want to use it every day. I check it every day myself. And I searched for the file upload vulnerabilities from October 2011 to October 2012. And I listed them all. You can actually go to that link later and find my Excel file over there, which I have listed all of those vulnerabilities. I found out, okay, only near 40% of them were protection bypass. 60% of them were unrestricted file upload. So there are still a lot of people in 2012 who put the file uploaders on live without having authentication on it, which isn't nice at all. Next vulnerability. Overwriting sensitive files. We have some sensitive files on the server. For example, .htaccess is sensitive file because you can change the configuration, you can bypass some protection by using that. Or web.config, for example, in iOS 8 or 7, you have rewrite rules, you can change them, you can do whatever you want, especially if you create one of them inside a folder that you are uploading the file, the one which is outside of that folder will be neutralized. So that won't work at all. So you can change the functionality of a website, bypass the protections, or, for example, if you upload crossdomain.xml website, which is a favorite Flash cross-domain policy file, in your directory, if they have like another problem in the main website and they have a wide cross-domain policy for all of their directories, you may be able to say, okay, other websites can read this directory after that by using their Flash files. So you can actually do that. The lame but possible method is denial of service by overwriting sensitive files. If you create htaccess file, put some rubbish inside it, no one can open that directory anymore because it wants to be parsed and there is error. If you put wrong web.config, it will happen. If you create htaccess directory, it will happen the same because, for example, in Windows, it doesn't care if it is a file or folder. If you create web.config file or .htaccess, you can really make Apache or IS out of order on that directory. Real example of overwriting sensitive file. I put the ID of exploit.db. You can look at that. This is old version of FCKEditor. Someone could upload htaccess. So the actually exploiters put this exploit x_test.gif in the content. So they were saying now in htaccess file _test.gif is a PHP file and can be run. But if you search in Google, you can find better example. You can directly run your shellcode inside the htaccess file. That is a link. You can go to that and find more information. So after that, ht* whatever file will be parsed as a PHP file. So you can really include your shell file at the end of that and run it directly. With one upload, you have shell and also protection bypass. Path disclosure, which is one of the information disclosure vulnerabilities. Most of the times when developers include something into their applications, like libraries, they trusted those applications, those libraries. They think nothing will go wrong, and if there is any error, I will catch it. But sometimes there are some try catches inside those applications, or there are some uncaught errors inside those applications or libraries that will show you the error. For example, if you say, there is an error that I couldn't do that in this location from a library, which is not good, and you have to always make sure that the library that you are using is safe, or check it manually if it is open source, make sure all the errors are being parsed correctly. Okay, in here also file system and web server are important. I know, for example, in Linux, you can't do too many things that you can do in Windows to get all of this information, but in Linux, like you can do some other things. But in here, I will give you some examples. Different method for doing path disclosure. If there is already a file on the server and you want to upload like a directory, or if you want to create a directory with the same name, it may give you something like access denied to this path because I've already have it. It is already here, and I can't do it anymore. And this is not coming from your application. This is coming from the library that you have included in your application, for example. Or file name is too long is another thing. In NTFS, the maximum directory file lengths that you can have is 255 characters. So if you exceed that, it may show you like your file is too long. I can't put it here, and something like that. Forbidden characters or reserved words. In Windows, for example, those characters are forbidden, and like con, null, com1, prn, something like that. These are forbidden files. So when you want to upload them in the server, it may say, I can't do this because access is denied, or there is a problem on the file system, something like that. And also, you may be able to do the same thing by using sensitive file system patterns. For example, in NTFS alternate data streams, you can point to a directory by $i3 $index _ allocation, or for example, you can say $bitmap. If you do that on a file, it will really give you an error because you shouldn't do that on a file. Or permission denied is another one. If you don't have permission on a directory, you try to upload a file into that directory, you may receive like an error. Access to this path is denied. This is a real example, Glimtech File Vista version 4.6. I think it's the latest version. Uploading test as a file. As you can see, I have a test directory in that red square. And I'm actually uploading a file called test. And now it is saying access to path, and giving me the full path is denied, which is not really a good thing to do. Because then I can, for example, find something and upload a shell, and then, or do like LFI or something like that. Actually, that was a .NET application, but just an idea. Okay, give you a tip. How to create a folder by using file upload when you're uploading a file. In Windows, in NTFS, it is possible if there is no protection by using alternate data streams. For example, if you change that file name, you remember that file name in the request that you were sending as a post request to the server. If you change that file name to this alternate data streams, $index _ allocation, it will create file for you. I will try to show you a demo. Does that work? Not really. Okay. Which one is that? This one. Okay. In here, as you can see, I have unrestricted file upload. I choose test.txt to send it to the server. If I just send it like that, it will actually upload into the server with test.txt. Now I use a proxy, that's burp suite, to send the same request, and I will proxy the request, and I will change it in the middle. So now I have the file name, as you can see over there. That's a request, and the boundary is a random number there. I send it to repeater, so now I can change it easier. So instead of having test.txt, I change it to : $index _ allocation. I will send it to the server, and I will create a test folder into server. Look at that, the test directory on the server. Okay. Not that one. Okay, directory traversal, a famous one. Modern browsers hide the local path. Okay, something about directory traversal. In file name, when you send a request to the server, normally you shouldn't have any path, and browsers should remove that because it's a privacy issue if they do. And Internet Explorer, for example, as you can see, you have an option, you can enable it to send the path, but you shouldn't do that. Now, like if you look at the applications which are from like 5 years ago, they are not vulnerable to directory traversal from that file name. But the applications that developers are developing now, and they are customized applications, they are not using like the common libraries, they want to parse the request by themselves. Sometimes they will use that file name as actual file name. So if you put like // you can really do directory traversal and upload your file. But you shouldn't do that normally. But yeah, it can happen. The good thing is to remove everything before a slash or back a slash is in that request. And continuing with directory traversal, you know, file uploaders normally shouldn't be vulnerable to directory traversal, but they normally have something like a destination directory. You can say, I want to upload my file in this directory. So you can do directory traversal on that. It is important because you may be able to bypass protections later on. For example, test it, always test it. It may accept like a full path. So use C:// or use like a shared directory, shared drive, UNC path, file : other protocol. Always check it. It's better to check it always to make sure it's not vulnerable to that. And then go for relative path. And the famous one, .. URL encoding, do double URL encoding, do triple URL encoding. I've seen some situation that it worked with fourth. Actually, I encoded that 4 times, then it worked. I really couldn't get that developer, but yeah, someone did it. And Unicode encoding, obviously. Other tricks which are like you can use in directory traversal to bypass actually some protections. Think about it, dot or a space after file names or directory names in Windows is not important. So if you create a file in Windows, put a lot of dot, press enter, it will remove it, doesn't care. Or if you put ... space ... press enter, it removed it, doesn't care. So you maybe will use that or use incorrect protections. Some of the developers thinking that, okay, if I replace / with a slash, then replace ... with nothing, it's the best solution. We know that it's wrong. I will show you in next, actually, one of those bypass methods. It's very easy to be bypassed. Real example, latest version of that file vista again. Bypassing protections. Okay, this time, ... were actually forbidden in the application. But I just use ... space / or ... space / and it worked. I really don't know how it works, but it works. And it's a logical issue in the application. If you try to create that folder, I tried my modules to create that folder manually or by using an application that I designed. I couldn't really replicate that issue, but it works very fine in the application. And I reported that they will fix it. They said, OK, we will fix it. Thank you very much. And I'm sure they will fix it. Where is it?
You have to change the thing that's still open.
Really? Pain. OK. That's it. That's a UI of file Vista. Now I will add, this is using Flash upload, so it's the same thing. I choose shell.aspx file. I wanted to upload it in the server. As you can see, shell.aspx file has been uploaded, but I can't have access to that because it's out of access. It's like in directory that I don't know where it is, and I know about even if you point to that, you can't execute that. I deleted that file anyway. Now I want to intercept it and manipulate the request in the middle. So, okay, the first request wasn't important. I send this request, which is file upload request, to repeater again. And now I actually refresh the browser, so the file is not there. Now I will go to my file uploader, shell.aspx, and now look at that path. This is the destination that you can actually put your file in. ... illegal character in path, so it's very careful about that. You can't do directory traversal. Illegal. Now I will add my space characters, encoded because it's in the URL, and it will be decoded by itself. Upload successfully. Refresh. OK. It's there. The shell has been executed. I will run, like, I'm very lazy to type that. Copy-pasted it. Run it. That's it. Shell access to that system. And that's it, really. Cool. Don't do it at home. OK. That's it. Insecure or temporary file. Sometimes when you upload files in file uploaders, it will create a temporary file for some reasons. For example, you want to put it in database, so it will create a temporary file to read it and then put it in database, to queue it, to do something with it. I don't know, resize it, anything. And for example, mail attachment, for example, when you upload something to email, maybe you put it in somewhere first and then do it. I will show you an example soon. And PHP temp files on file upload, if you send a PHP upload request to any PHP file on the system, doesn't matter if it is file upload like page or anything like that, any PHP page, if you create a temp file in that, for example, in Windows temp directory by default, and the extension is TMP, but it is doing that, and it is temporary file, but if you send like 10,000 requests a minute, something like that, you may be able to keep some files there for 5 minutes or something like that. I really have tried that and it worked, but as I can't really talk about PHP right now, I don't want to jump into that. A real example, very old example from 2005, I reported those things, but they still work in some systems. And I really don't want to go for live examples in this, but a smarter mail file upload vulnerability. When I was attaching something to my email, I was attaching something into my email, then I was start typing my message. Hello, how are you? Something like that. At that time, that uploaded file was in a temp directory, which was accessible via web. And then I found out another way to guess that directory and to find that directory, random directory, and to run my shell file. That was very interesting because my file was there intact with its extension, and it was really a bad thing. And that directory was created on the fly, so with normal permission from its parent. That's why I could do whatever I wanted. Or mail-side express file upload vulnerability. This file upload was like in different way. You had to upload a file, you had to attach a file to email, send it to yourself, then view that email and double-clicking on attachment, but don't download it, because if download it, it's finished, it will delete it after that. Just viewing that email, it will create like a temp folder again, put that file in that temp folder, and you could execute that, and that was it. Other vulnerabilities, as I said, similar to other web applications, everything, but the impacts are higher here, because then you may be able to run your code on the system, execute code, exploit the system completely. So cross-site request forgery, think about it. If you can do it and upload a file on behalf of someone else, you may really upload a file on behalf of admin and pound that website completely. Cross-site scripting, cross-site scripting in here are actually two issues. One is file upload can be vulnerable to cross-site scripting. File upload can make a website to be vulnerable to cross-site scripting. So for example, if you upload a vulnerable page, like HTML page or SWF file or anything like that, makes a website vulnerable to cross-site scripting, it's actually a cross-site scripting issue for that file uploader. SQL injection, if that file uploader obviously dealing with database, or denial of service, if you don't have any quota on the directories, or for example you are compressing everything that being uploaded, someone send you like 100 megabyte and you don't have protection on size, it can happen. A lot of other issues that you may already know about from OWASP website. And protection methods, my favorite, because I want to bypass them. First of all, favorite of everyone, client-side protections are useless protections here, because you can really bypass them, as you know, with all the proxies, tamper data, everything. And it's not really for security. It's for being user-friendly. So website will give you, when you click on that choose file, it doesn't show you all the files. It only shows you the JPG files or GIF files. It's easy, it's good, it's for being user-friendly. But some developers think that it is a security factor and no one can bypass it, especially if I do it via Flash upload. It's very secure, no one can see it, because I put tamper data, like I put Burp Suite as a proxy in my Mozilla Firefox. I couldn't see the request. Yeah, but if you say use system proxy and go to your Internet Explorer, for example, in Windows, and set it like system proxy to Burp Suite, then you can see it. That's it. And server-side protections. Proper protections, I should say. We have two server-side protections: inside the code, outside the code, internal, external. Externals are, for example, firewalls, web server configurations, permissions on file system, antivirus applications, or for example, when you store them somewhere else, I don't know, in the cloud maybe. Internal protections that developers are designing them and want to make their file uploaders very secure. I will talk about all of them one by one. First of all, actually, I'm saying bypassing firewalls. It's not bypassing firewalls. It's like firewalls issues, and it is just introduction. If you want to really have information about bypassing firewalls, there are some good talks about it. And also, I think in Black Hat 2012, someone talked about some techniques to bypass firewalls and like mod security and these things, which is very good. I really suggested that to you. Search it in Google, find it out. And this is introduction. This is good to have it, but you should always think about it. No matter how good it is, it can be bypassed. It's firewall. It doesn't have all the information of your system. Unless you design it for your system, you customize that for your system completely. And you should think about this. Different implementation of RFCs are different. For example, in web servers, if you, after the host, if you press enter and then put a space character, a web server may think, okay, this is complete, these two lines are host in the header of that request. Another web server may think the packet is corrupted and give you an error, 400 error. Or for example, if you do it on the cookies, on all of them, it may work really. So you should really think about these things when you are dealing with firewalls. For example, an example from that article that I'm saying is using multiple fake boundary. For example, as you can see, you have one boundary in the header of that HTTP request. What will happen if you copy paste a lot of crap into it? So firewall think, okay, boundary is maybe this one, so this packet doesn't have any part in it, or a file upload will miss it. The old technique, transfer encoding chunked, so you could actually send your message as a chunked. You can do that really. In Apache it works, in iOS it doesn't work that fine. In file uploads, different file system operating system features. Test.asp is equal to test ~1.asp when Windows 8.3 naming convention is enabled on that system. For example, different web technology features, PHP converts dot to underscore, or when you have like one single square bracket in the input parameter to underscore when it is in input parameter, it does it. And for example, ASP converts certain UTF-8 characters to ASCII. And you can read a good article on my blog, and also Giorgio, the author of Szcrzt, has a topic on it, which I can't even tell you the name. It's not good. The name is insulting, but it's good. Bypassing web server configurations. You have htaccess, you have web.config, different things. For example, in iOS, you are saying the script shouldn't be run in that folder. I really don't know if you don't have dirty servers, so how you want to bypass that. But for these things, you may be able to override them. Create a folder, put something inside that folder, then like another htaccess inside that folder, and then do whatever you want. Using Windows 8.3 file names, most of the times it works on Windows. Or other web server configurations. You may think, okay, all of the web applications are secure and all of the extensions, for example, are being blocked. But for example, ASP extension can be blocked, but ASA is the same thing in iOS. PHP 1, PHP 2, PHP 3, anything like that can be run as PHP sometimes. Or, for example, how do you know if PHTML is allowed or not on the server? You have to try these things. You may be able to bypass that. I'm not saying it's bad protection. I'm just saying that you have to have proper protection and several protections at the same time. But these are the things that you can think about if you want to bypass it. And obviously, if you do directory traversal, you may be able to bypass that completely. Bypassing file system permissions. To be fair, we don't need to bypass anything for that, because you already have write access in that upload folder because you're uploading something into it. And this is very obvious. But, wrong assumption here is some developers think if they removed execute access from that directory, it won't run PHP or ASP anymore on that folder. It does. It does, actually. it's file system, it's not web server. If you do that, you really see that it does. It still works. The problem is it can be limited. So, for example, you may not be able to upload your cmd.exec on that server and run it, or do something like that. But you may still have access to all of the files on the system. And some people think, okay, we say write permission is not available outside of the uploading folder. It's good to have it. But what would happen if you create a temporary or real-time file or folders like those mail servers that we had? You may be able to do it on those folders. And if you can still upload whatever you want on that server, it's still bad because HTML we run in the browser doesn't care if you don't have write permission on the server or you execute permission or whatever like that. You can make a website vulnerable to cross-site scripting. It's good to have it to reduce the risk, but it can be bypassed. Antivirus applications only blocks really malware viruses which hasn't been obfuscated. And web shell can be obfuscated, be uploaded onto the server. They can't do anything about that. If you write your web shell yourself, they never will find it unless it's doing something really bad or exploiting like Metasploit, Meterpreter, and these things. And AV vulnerabilities can be exploited as well. I'm not saying not having AV on the server, but you have to make sure that it is updated. I don't know. It can be exploited anyway. For example, that Sophos vulnerability by Tavis Ormandy a few weeks ago was published. It has been reported, I think it's September, something like that. So if you could upload whatever you wanted on that server, you could really execute the code by using the antivirus on that server and run it as a system and bypass everything, almost everything. And in PHP, for example, if you have a PHP application for example, in Windows, it will create a temp file in Windows temp directory. If you send a file upload request to any file, so I'm not sure how Sophos antivirus works. Does it care about extension? Maybe it cares about extension, and then, for example, it may look at the content. If it is like encrypted PDF, then it will scan it. So you may be able to still exploit the system even if there is no file uploader and there is Sophos antivirus on the system. And it's not updated. Really, Sophos patched the system, but I mean, it's just an idea. Storing data on another domain, that's a very good idea, but it's very hard to implement that correctly and also it is very expensive. For example, file server must be isolated. The web server on that file server should be like a very simple web server, shouldn't run anything. It will harden to death, and it should be very, very secure. It's good if you do it. You can actually use cloud nowadays and upload like Twitter or like other websites and say, we don't care about these things. They are going to cloud. Upload whatever you want. But still, if you have like a subdomain and you're hardening the systems, it's still dangerous because, for example, they can still, if you upload HTML file in a subdomain like bizarre.example.com, you may be able to set some cookies by using, for example, a domain equal to .example.com, and that cookie is cross-domain, and you can also read cross-domain cookies. For example, in Yahoo website, in any subdomain, you can read any cookies of Yahoo and if you have file upload in Yahoo, that can be very, very dangerous. And still, you can do phishing attacks. For example, if you upload something on a subdomain, it's very easy to do phishing attacks. It's not very difficult. You see that fish there? It's supposed to be animation and just jump to the screen. So sorry for that fish. It's frozen. Okay, content type protection issues. Okay, I jump to internal protections now. So these are the internal protections that developers always do to protect their applications from hackers. Location in the request. Look at this application octet stream. That's a content type. And it works with the extension of files. So if you upload JPG file, it would image /JPEG. And you can change it in your proxy. So it's not a protection, it's just a bypass method from my point of view, and don't use it if exploited. And mostly image uploaders are the victims. If you look at ExploitDB website, you will see a lot of galleries in WordPress, Joomla are doing that. I will give you the reason for that at the end of the slides. W3 schools is the reason, I guess. Real example, content type bypass. These two ExploitDB IDs are there. We can have a look later. They are looking for content type, image, GIF, JPEG. Just change it to, for example, you can put shell.php as a file name, then in proxy, just change it to content type image /GIF, and then upload the file on the server. That's it. Name and extension issues. Okay, so when we have protection on name and also in extensions. So, for example, checking for whitelist, blacklist validation, and these sort of things. The first step to go forward is detecting what is file extension from application point of view. So if, for example, in test.php.jpg, is that p.php.jpg is the extension from application point of view, or .jpg is the extension from application point of view. From operating system point of view, normally it is .jpg, but from application point of view, even if it is .jpg, it should validate the name. Next step is which part has validation. File name or just extension, or both. And another good thing about file uploader is, what does it do with the existing file? Does it say the file is there, I can't do anything about it, or it will rename it and save it as like copy of something, or put parenthesis 1 in front of it, and something like that? You will find logical flaws in there. You may be able. Okay, in secure things you can't, but I'm saying very possible to find something. Or denial of service. I will show you a denial of service issue soon when they rename the files. Missed extension. The first bypass for this protection for extensions and file names. When developers are saying, okay, this is the list of the extensions that we have, you shouldn't be able to upload anything with those extensions. Most of the time they miss extensions in that list, and then you can upload something. .phhtml, PHP1.
Why do blacklist at all?
Yeah, that's a good question, but they do. I mean, when they do, you can bypass it. It's like that. If you look at some blacklist things, they are crazy. They are just all of the extensions except images. Put images into that and make your for loop like 3 lines or something like that, instead of having a big line over there. And I've seen several examples in penetration testings when .asp was blocked, but .asa or .cer was allowed. And .cer is really the same as .asp in iOS. It was like that in iOS 6. And in iOS 7, you have to enable that. Okay. What about client-side extensions? So, okay. What would happen if you upload HTML or or SWF or a jar file in the system? You can actually make the website to be a point for you to attack other users. So you have to really use whitelist in here, but they really don't, and missed extensions is very important. Double extensions, another problem which we shouldn't see in 2012, but the most common bypass method in 2012 was double extensions. When, for example, web server like Apache accept .php.jpg as a PHP file, run it as a PHP file, because we have a wrong configuration inside it, like that at handler. A better solution is using that. That solution can be changed, be like not case sensitive maybe, but yeah, that's it. And iOS 6, my favorite useless feature. Microsoft accepted that as a feature, but it's really a useless feature because nobody does that. Why should we have that? If you run file.asp semicolon.jpg in iOS 6, it will run it as a ASP file, and it will really run it as a ASP file. If you create a folder, call it folder.asp, upload a txt file inside that, it will run it as a ASP file. So, good features. Yeah, that's a picture of feature. Case-sensitive rules. I really didn't think that we have case-sensitive rules issue in 2012, but I had one case in ExploitDB. I said here normally when we have regular expression, not really. The one that I found in ExploitDB was not using that. It was just using equal sign. So it can happen, I can say, anywhere if they don't do it. Always try it when you are doing penetration testing. Don't miss that. It's very easy to be missed. So when you upload .php and you can't do it, try capital P. Or when you're uploading .php3.jpg, use capital php3.jpg, or whatever like that. Example is that eFront application in ExploitDB. Windows 8.3 naming convention. You can overwriting sensitive files in Windows. So for example, web.config is equal to that web ~1.con, which shouldn't be like that, and admins should remove that naming convention from server nowadays. They don't really, and it's there by default. And for example, that htaccess, if you can upload a file into the server without extension, and there is .htaccess, but htaccess is denied because it's using whitelist protection this time. You can actually use that htaccess_1 and rewrite its content to whatever you want. Okay, Windows file system. Good. Trailing dots, spaces after names. You can really try it. You can upload a file, put those things at the end of it. So file uploader may think, okay, it doesn't have any extension anymore. And when it saves it on the system, it becomes like test.asp. And I saw that example in one of my test cases. I really couldn't replicate that correctly, but some of the systems accept that test.php, those characters, as test.php. Really, you need to have some logical flaws inside the application as well, maybe, or they need to run it as a shell sometimes. And NTFS alternate data streams, another favorite thing. We know that from many years ago, but it still works and it's good. For example, when you want to upload file.asp, ASP is blacklisted, use .asp $data. It will create that file, file.asp on the server for you. Or, for example, that folder, as I said before, is equal to a folder if you use alternate data streams in front of it. To give you an idea about .htaccess file, for example, there is no htaccess file on the server. .htaccess is blacklisted, and you can rewrite by using that 8.3 naming convention, but alternate data stream is allowed. So use .htaccess : .jpg, so it is .jpg file from the application point of view. It will create an empty .htaccess on the server because the data will go inside that .jpg part, and the main part is empty. Now use 8.3 naming convention to rewrite content of that file and bypass other protections. Null character. Very, very good thing. Everyone knows that, but you can still see it in 2012. Null character, when you want to send it in file name, should be decoded. If it is in the request file name, should be decoded. If it is in the URL, it will be decoded by itself, so you can send it as %00 URL encoded thing. And some really web applications think that it is a TXT file. When they save it on file system, it becomes .asp file. I'll give you an example very soon. File type detector issue. Okay, we have some, for example, protections in the applications. They want to make sure it is an image file. So if they can read height and width of that file, it means it is an image because it's the width over in that file. But what would happen if you insert your content into that body of that file, which doesn't actually break that file? For example, simple example is I'm entering my PHP code in the copyright section. I will save it in the file, so now I can upload it into web server. And if there is any LFI or anything like that, or if server parse it as a PHP file or include it somewhere, you can run that in the server. And in this method, we have too many false positives, so it may really kill the server. What about binary files? What does it? How can it verify binary files? Or different encoding methods? And also, it has performance issue. That frog over there was an animation. Compression. That's a very good topic in 2012. Someone came with that idea, and I want to really talk about it. It's not hypothetical anymore. It really works now. If you compress something, for example, when you upload an image into Facebook, we compress it and then save it because it wants to make sure that it's actually small, and at the same time, the content, if there is something wrong in the content, will be destroyed completely. And but there are some issues around it. For example, if it is always doing compression, not only on images, on everything, if there is a small data, sometimes it doesn't really compress that. And this example from this awesome guy give us this idea to us that, for example, if you put something inside PNG file, now if a server compress that, now it will produce PHP code for you after compression, and it was really innocent before being compressed. This is the example. The header is corrupted. We have an issue in the header. That's not mine. Harmless text. This is the text that if you do gzip compression on it, it will actually create that PHP backdoor for you. Now, it's a PHP backdoor. You can do whatever you want with it. And so what can you do? You should have protection after you compress it too. So, OK. Name randomization issues. Most of the, actually, one of my recommendations to protect file upload, to actually secure it, is to randomize the file name, because then no one can have double extensions, no one can use whatever they want. But some of the developers are using that idea, but keeping the extension over there, or they detect extension wrongly, so you can still do double extension. And or their randomization algorithm is wrong. You can predict that. You can send something to it like wrong Unicode characters, or like very large data, and it doesn't randomize it anymore. It just use the same name. And also it can lead to denial of service for some systems. Out of web folder issues, another one. Directory traversal is actually can make it accessible. That's a question, really. If you don't have directory traversal, it can be a safe method. But you may be able to still use it as an LFI. So if you can still upload a file into system somewhere that is that no one can see it anymore by for example, typing the name in the browser and pressing enter. But if you have local file inclusion, you may be able to use it. And how do you want to show them to the users? Because you want them to see those things that you have uploaded into your server. So then you need to create your proxy. And when you create your proxy, there are too many issues on that proxy now. Performance issue, obviously. It can be vulnerable to local and remote file inclusion, which is very good. Or, for example, it can load internal files of that server, like passwd file, and show it to you. Or a lot of other issues, and that's not really something that is being suggested. Files in database issues. It's good to put the files in database because it's secure, but at the same time, you may now have SQL injection instead of having other issues. And what would happen if you create temporary files and then put them in the database? You have to think about those things when you're doing penetration testing as well. And performance is very important. It's wrong idea to put everything in database, because a large file will be larger if it goes to database. It's very expensive, and it can lead to denial of service at the end. And what would happen as a developer if you want to migrate your system to another system, use another thing, and now you have to actually extract all of the files from the database, save them as a file, and now go to another system, do whatever that system does with those files, unless it uses, again, the database. So normally no one does that, but if they do, then think about SQL injection and temporary files. Logical programming flaws. Yeah, it always happens everywhere in all of the applications, not just web applications. But in this file upload, as I said before, file duplication issues is one of the points that they normally have some logical flaws. And you can look for logical flaws if you have source code or if you're doing black box testing. And delay problems, for example, if you are uploading them as a temporary file on the server, what will happen if you send a lot of chunk of files in one request, multi-part, so for example 500 files at the same time to upload it, which one of them is only valid, but it will create files for all of them, and then it makes it slower, so you have time to do LFI. And a special file format, so for example, if you accept compressed files now and then decompress that by using your file uploader, it can lead to several issues. For example, if you put .php file inside a zip file and then it will be extracted, again it's a PHP file. You can do directory traversal by using that as well, and so many things. Also, you can exploit that library maybe. And the same thing with the XML files. If you have your customized system, maybe you can like do something and bypass the logic. Bad programming always happen. Someone can use include to show images to the user as a proxy, which if there is a code inside it will run. And replacing bad characters extension with nothing. If you replace .php with nothing, when you upload file.p.php, it will become file.php again. It's very obvious, and so on. Other interesting vectors, this is just examples to give you an idea when you are testing these file uploaders. In Apache, if you are uploading a file in www/uploads/, I've tested that in Windows, not in Linux. If you rename your file to just dot or 3 dots, it will make a file with the same folder name next to that folder name. So it's kind of directory traversal. Or in NTFS, if you actually upload a file .jpg, it will make that file. It's very hard to delete that. And if you do that inside the temporary folder, that application can't delete that temporary folder. So it will remain there, and you may be able to do something good with it. And you have write access inside that. And the only way is to run a command on the server to get rid of that file or write your own application, not using that web application. And obviously, if you have misconfiguration in the server, it's very rare, but you have to test, for example, these things. If you have file JPG on the server, and that JPG file has like a comment of PHP code inside it, and if you put a file that is not there, /index.php, sometimes it will load that file .jpg and parse it as a PHP code. And you have to test that, okay? W3 schools example is vulnerable. No wonder we have too many issues, because many people just copy-paste those things and think that I can trust this, it's very good. To be fair, it's very good for programming, but it doesn't talk about security, and shouldn't be used as a secure thing. I will show it actually in the code. This is the content of W3 schools. As you can see, it uses that content type, so it's useless validation inside a server-side application. It gives that idea to developers that it's allowed, and it's good to use it. It's not good to use it. It's pointless. And if they don't check the extension, it can lead to a lot of things. And as you can see, it's vulnerable to double extension bypass. And also, the extensions are case sensitive. It's a bad practice. And it's a possible cross-site scripting. Very hard to exploit it, but if you have like a method, use awesome guys, maybe like Mario, you may be able to exploit these ones as well. And okay, FCKEditor 2.68 file upload issues. It's the latest version. And okay, I want to give you some idea how it works, how you can exploit that FCKEditor thing, latest version. .asp.txt is a valid extension because it has txt in the extension. dangerous character are converted to underscore, which is good. So if you convert semicolon, null character, whatever is not it doesn't like, actually, all of the characters that I like, to underscore. And it has a good thing inside the file duplication logic. It has a flow. Actually, this is a logical flow, an exception. It doesn't convert those characters to underscore when it does when the file is already available on the system. A friend of mine, Mustafa, reported it to me, and he said, you may be able to use your semicolon vulnerabilities on that server. That's very good because FCKEditor is bypassed. And I said, okay, now that I can use semicolon, if you think like that, I can use null character to upload whatever I want in the server. I'll show it to you. Demo time. Yeah. Too much talking. Okay, this is FCKEditor application, ASP version actually I'm using. So I uploaded a text file without having any problem. You see the text file has been uploaded in the server, and I can really see that content of text file, so it's fine. Now I will choose my shell.aspx invalid file. Good. It has a whitelist validation. Very good. So I will send it to repeater to actually change the file name to do whatever I want with it. So in order to actually use that duplication, I will put null character. I will decode that null character. I will send it to the server. And then, as you can see, it has been replaced with underscore. So it is shell.aspx underscore.txt. I send the same request again. I will create that .aspx file for me. Shellcode again. And it works. Don't try it. Because a lot of applications are currently using that old. I mean, this is retired version, but this is the latest version. Lots of applications are still using that ASP version. They told me that they will patch it till today, but I don't know what has happened. Maybe they have patched it and I don't know. Okay. Let's see the other things. Okay, another logical flows that I told you about the same, again the same thing, converting files when you have existing file in the system. It will convert everything with parenthesis 1. And for example, if file.ext is on the server, it will create file parenthesis 1.ext. It will try to create that. If it is the same file on the system, it will actually increase that number to 2. So, and we know that forbidden files in Windows like con, prn, null, these things can't be created on the file system with any extension. So now if I want to create con.pdf.txt, it will try to rename it to, because it will send a request to file system can't create it. FCKEditor or CKFinder doesn't have any clue why it can't do it. There is a file with the same name. It will rename it to con.pdf parenthesis 1.txt. It tried again, and it is really kill the server. And it is actually killing the server because it's sending all of those requests to file system. It's not killing the application, it's just killing the server. I sent, I don't know, 10 of those requests to my Windows 7 box, and my CPU was like about 100%. I have a very good computer, so it shouldn't be like that, but yeah. Quick checklist. Do you have enough internal and external protection? This is just for developers, but as a penetration tester, think about that. Do they have enough internal and external protections? Are they bypassable? Try them. Always try them. Don't miss anything. Can you host malwares? For example, if you have a website, can someone can't say it. Can someone put some illegal content on your website, like a cracked copy of, I don't know, something on your website, and then you can, for example, anyone can download it. For example, I could, not now, upload whatever I want into Twitter, and for example, I could use some steganographic technique to hide my messages for anyone who I wanted them to see it. And it is really bad. You have to think about it. Or your website can be completely filtered by Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome as you are hosting malwares. So it's not good to have it. is there any monitoring system on the system to report if whenever file has been modified or updated or anything has been changed on that web application area? Obviously, if you have LFI, you won't see that because you have to monitor all the systems, and obviously it's very difficult to do that. And are all the libraries and modules up to date? You check. If you're using WordPress, always check it. And always try to upload a safe web shell. When I'm talking about safe web shell, is because there are a lot of C99, for example, .php out, or a lot of like ASP spy.asp out, but they all have backdoors. They will send some messages to the authors or the people who have backdoored them, so they know about the URL completely, and they will come to your website and they deface it. You can try it on, like, if you have a example domain, just go for any C99 shell, put it there, wait for several days, someone will deface it. So use a safe web shell, write it yourself, or make sure there is nothing wrong in it. Okay. At the end, I should say, this was just file uploaders, but we have file managers. What about those things? Too many modules, more functionality in file managers. Move files, move directories, delete file, delete directory. For example, rename file. Most of the time, rename file is vulnerable to directory traversal. You can move the file by using : /. Or for example, image converting resizing modules, downloading. All of these things. More functionality means more vulnerabilities. And unfortunately, we don't have any cheat sheets or any other materials to test these things currently. Feature works. Attack vectors cheat sheet. We really need someone to sit and write all of them. Not me. And someone. And protection methods cheat sheets. We need something in OWASP really to say these are the protection methods, safe protection methods that you can use. Just use these methods, not those like vulnerable methods. I tried my best to update OWASP unrestricted file upload last year, but it's not, I mean, you need a lot of time to do that. You need to be a group or team to do it correctly. And more OWASP is happy for file managers. We really need something like that. We need to have something special for file uploaders, file managers, some secure libraries that everyone can use it and it is secure. And if it is not secure or someone can bypass it, it will be patched very soon because it is just one thing that can be secured in one day if they know about the vectors. So they're very careful about these ASAP libraries, so they will update it very soon. And payloads to make this testing automatic. We need some payloads. We need to create these payloads for ourselves. You can find something in FuzDB or Burp Suite like Pro version, but they are not sufficient. They don't have many cases. If you are doing penetration testing, you always have your payloads. These payloads should be based on the operating system and web server that you're working with, or you can combine them all, send all the requests if you have a lot of times to do it. And we need better checklists for web developer and webmasters, not just for penetration testers. Finally, questions.